Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here at our almost historic Gray's Hardware store here in the heart of Ridge. We are here today to register our utter dismay, outrage, disbelief, and really anger that the DOT is delaying our long-sought paving project on Middle Country Road. I'm joined by members of the Civic associations from our area. I'm from the Middle Island Civic Association. My name is Gail Lynch Bailey. I have with me my colleagues who have worked with me for really 2 decades on this road. We have members of the Quorum Civic, Irma Gluck, her husband Bob, Chris Riley, members of the Gordon Heights Civic, Mr. James Freeman, and members of the Ridge Civic, Scott and Holly Wood, Chris Sosick, as well as many others. The point here is that Route 25, Middle Country Road, is our main street. There's no alternative. This is it. We take it to work, to the doctor, to school, to shop, to dine, and to bank. It connects the many communities in Longwood. Unfortunately, is also one of the deadliest roads in our state. And it has suffered from neglect at the hands of the New York State DOT for decades. I haven't chaired a single civic meeting where this road has not been brought up. It's on our agenda every time we meet, and the DOT knows about this. They admit that they've received more complaints about our 9-mile stretch of Middle Country Road than either of the other 2 roads that are in the contract. Our section is actually listed first on the DOT's website in the contract description, but they've chosen to work in Nassau County first. And I tell you, many people think that the DOT has chosen affluence over need, rich people over poor. Sure, let us poor folks out here wait another year, is what one person said to me. Well, we're done waiting. We've been told repeatedly that this work would be done in 2020. I feel like we were lied to. And I also feel that we were made into liars by the DOT in that process. I've told hundreds, in fact, given social media, actually I've told thousands of people that this work was happening this year. And a lot of those people would be here protesting with us if we weren't being safe and social distancing. I have questions that the DOT should answer. Why is this contract so long? Why didn't the DOT bid each roadway separately? Why wasn't it awarded to a company that would work on sites simultaneously? This is a $23 million project. It was awarded 2 months ago. No asphalt has been put down yet. Take a look at 25B, Hillside Avenue. That's the street that's being done first. That area is a completely walkable community, chock full of street-side businesses, restaurants, and services. Anyone in those close-knit neighborhoods can walk or park on a side street and access anything they need. We can't do that here. We don't have enough sidewalks. We are still completely car-centric out here. We must drive. We have one standalone bank left. It's right around the corner in Ridge, on our 9-mile stretch of Middle Country Road, and we have to drive to it. And to get to it, you almost need to ski through a series of asphalt moguls because that section has been repaved so many times. It's ridiculous, it's sad, it's potentially tragic, it's unacceptable, and it must be changed. I'm very happy to be joined by many of our supporters as we continue to protest and advocate for our roadway here. And first and foremost are our friends from the town of Brookhaven, Councilman Mike Loguercio and Councilwoman Jane Bonner, and of course Supervisor Ed Romaine. Who would like to speak first?
Thank you, Gail, and thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Ridge. I'm Michael Loguercio. I am one of 3 council members who represent this area, along with Councilwoman Jane Bonner and Councilman Dan Panico. Folks, when someone calls me and asks for help, I tell them one of 2 things. I either say, yes, I can help you, or no, I can't. But if I tell you that I will help you, I am giving you my word that I will help you. My parents taught me a long time ago that your word is everything. You don't break your word, no matter what. 2 years ago, along with my fellow elected officials, and Jane Bonner was there with me, I sat in a meeting with some high-level senior executives of the New York State Department of Transportation, the DOT. In that meeting, after some long and arduous discussion, those same high-level Department of Transportation representatives promised us that Route 25, Middle Country Road, right there, would be paved from Coram, Mount Sinai Road in Coram, heading east to Wading River Hollow Road in Calverton. This paving season is what they told us. Not next year, this year. They gave us their word. And now they are reneging on their word. They are breaking their word. So we're here today not to ask them to do something that they have no idea about, but to tell them to keep their word and pave Middle Country Road as they promised. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. Yes, I'm always the one that has to raise the microphone. Councilwoman Jane Bonner. I represent the 2nd Council District and the north side of this road. Like Councilman Loguercio said, all 3 of us represent hamlets along Middle Country Road. And not only was I at that meeting with Councilman Loguercio, I have been at numerous meetings over the years through several elected officials representing the state in the Assembly and the Senate to pave Middle Country Road. And last year they did promise. They understood our plight. They understood our pleas, the piles of emails that we brought to them from constituents, first responders, numerous senior communities that have to drive along this road, the residents that contact us for broken axles, shredded tires, you name it. But we have a state government that cannot do basic things. It is hardly qualified to do great things. We would all be better served if the governor of the state of New York focused as much attention on the basic functions of government, which is infrastructure and road paving. We stand here today on New York State Route 25, and this roadway is in so many ways an accurate representation of the crumbling Empire State. Because the issues have not been addressed for so long, this roadway now requires a complete reconstruction. You know why? Because cheap was expensive in the long run. Much like our state government. However, it seems now it's been put off again. Never in all my years have I seen such a dysfunctional and inept state leadership. And honestly, I say this all the time. It seems as though Governor Cuomo's favorite road sign is one way, from our wallets on Long Island to pay Albany's bills.
Thank you. I'm Ed Romaine. I'm the supervisor of the town of Brookhaven. I want to thank my 2 colleagues on the board. I particularly want to thank our 2 assemblymen, Assemblyman Stefano and our Assemblyman Tony Palumbo. I want to thank Senator Laval, who's not here today, but he sent a statement, which I'm sure you'll read. He's been a tremendous advocate for Route 25. Look behind me. This is our main street. This is the main road for the middle of Brookhaven town. This road was supposed to be rebuilt from the Davis House in Coram to pass the town line with Riverhead. Who stands with us today? The Gordon Heights Civic Association, the Middle Island Civic Association, the Coram Civic Association, the Ridge Civic Association. Who stands with us today? The emergency responders from the fire departments, from the ambulance companies that have to traverse this road. We have waited a long time. The repairs have been temporary, spotty, and now, because so much has gone on, this road has to be totally reconstructed. We were told repeatedly that this would be done in 2020. And now, the New York State Department of Transportation they are saying, probably not. We will wait no longer. We will not be silent. This entire community, the Longwood community, from Coram, Gordon Heights, Middle Island, and Ridge, are united in demanding that we be treated the way we should. This is a state highway. This is not a back road. This is not a cul-de-sac. This is a state highway. Where is DOT? And with that, I thank you for allowing me to speak, Gail. I thank the Civics, and we'll let our two Assembly people from the state speak. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Town of Brookhaven representatives, for your support and for arranging all this good stuff for us today to make our protests heard loud and clear. Before we hear from our State Assembly people, I want to introduce our volunteers. They have to ride up and down this road at all hours, 24/7, 365 days a year. They put their lives at risk, and their patients' lives are often at risk because of the condition of this roadway. We have members of the Middle Island Fire Department and the Ridge Fire Department, and I believe they would like to say a few words. Gentlemen, is anybody coming forward to speak?
Chief Keiser.
Chief Keiser, welcome, and thank you for all that you and all of your volunteers do, sir. Thank you so much.
How's everybody doing on this fine afternoon? My name is Louis Keiser. I'm the chief of the Ridge Fire Department. And as you can see behind us, actually cars are doing it now. They go into the westbound traffic to avoid all the potholes on the eastbound side. Right here at the light. You'll see them go onto the westbound traffic to avoid the potholes. You know, sooner or later it's going to cause an accident, and the wear and tear on our vehicles, the suspension, the maintenance that has to be done with all these potholes is absurd. The ambulance with patients in the back, they're complaining about back pain, this pain, that pain, while the ride ain't helping them get to the hospital. So I have paperwork back at the firehouse. DOT mailed us stating that they were going to repave it starting July of 2020, and now I'm hearing they're not. I think it's wrong. They should come out and pave it. I've been here since 1991, and I don't think this road has ever been repaved since then. They might have done spots, but a whole repaving is needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you so much, Chief. And now we would like to introduce our State Assembly representatives, Tony Palumbo and Joe DiStefano. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Gail. And you know, it's beyond dispute the quality of this road, that this has been years in the making. I've been in office for 7 years. My predecessor was dealing with this. And Senator Laval, I got copied on an email where the DOT responded that, well, the real issue is a construction company said that they wanted to do it in different order. And I don't think anyone here believes that that's actually true. The construction companies don't dictate to the Department of State and the Department of Transportation when they and how they're actually going to proceed with projects. So that's untrue. Then my office got a response that said, well, we've had more complaints up in that direction over in Nassau. The only reason the complaints stopped here, which were voluminous and far exceeded anything in Nassau, was because we were told that the construction was coming. So that excuse is not accurate either. So we're here to really see what the actual truth is and why this is being moved. It's an election year. We know the partisan politics games that are going on in these districts in Nassau County. Just happen to be some senators who are going to be in really tough races who are the same party as the governor. So that is disgusting. This needs to be done now. There's no reason for us to move down the priority list. We get how these things work. We were a priority, and we still are. The governor needs to step in and get this done now. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Joe DiStefano. I'm the Assemblyman from the 3rd Assembly District. I stand here before you today as a freshman Assemblyman in my 2nd year, and quite frankly, I'm embarrassed. I'm totally embarrassed. I've gone to numerous Civic Association meetings over the last couple of years, and every time I go to one of them, this road always comes up. And I'm embarrassed because I'm on the Transportation Committee, and I've been following the guidance that the Department of Transportation has been given to us over the last year and a half. And when I go to them and I say, listen, we've been told that in July of 2020, this project is going to start. One thing we got to understand is that the governor has to realize that there's someplace else in this state besides New York City. New York City is not the only thing in this state. There are other parts of the state that need attention just as much as New York City does. I've gone to numerous meetings, and it's embarrassing to me as a volunteer in the Medford Fire Department for 40 years and a lifetime member of the Medford Ambulance. I know what it's like to have a back injury and to take a road like Jane said, like the moguls. I know what it's like to hear a patient screaming in pain, how much it hurts that we're going over these bumps. So it's coming from experience. It's not coming from somebody I heard it from. It's coming from real life experiences. And Tony and I and Steve Engelbright, we actually go into these meetings in the Department of Transportation. We actually we go to the public hearings, and we listen to constituents talk about the things that bother them, especially about this road. We always advocate for more funding for CHIPS money and things like that. The governor always makes it sound like he's doing us a favor. He's not doing anybody a favor. These dollars come from taxpayers. These roads are built to protect and to serve, and that's what we're here for. And I implore the governor to start taking his head out of the sand and start realizing that there are other parts of the state besides New York City. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblyman. Is there anybody else we haven't heard from yet?
The civic leaders.
Civic leaders. Our civic leaders would like to come forward and say a few words. Irma Gluck from Quorum Civic. Right? Yes. Yes, we do. Irma, tell the truth, girl.
Okay. Truth is, I'm too short for this mic. Okay. As everyone else has said, they have covered it, but this is beyond comprehension to go this long. Actually, I remember looking at the state books and things way before our civic association had been resurrected. Back in 2000, we didn't resurrect till 2006, and back then, this was on the books 20 years ago. Each year I'd see something, we're going to do it next year, and we're going to do it next year. Enough is enough. Do it now. We have too many accidents, as was said, and the time has come to get all of Quorum, Middle Island, Ridge, all the way out to Calverton. Now. Do it now.
Thank you. James Freeman from the Gordon Heights Civic, and what a section he's got to talk about, James.
Very bumpy. Good afternoon, everyone. Some people may think that it's unreasonable for what we're asking for, but it's not unreasonable when we've been waiting for so long. What do you tell a constituent or a resident who is riding up and down this road and they're tearing their car apart? They're blowing out tires, they're tearing apart rims, they're messing up their front end. What do you say to those people when they come to you and they say, listen, what I'm paying in car repairs is almost what I make in a week? What do you say to the people who are just making it by and they have to deal with this on a daily basis? At what point do they see a return on the money that they keep putting into the system? There has to be a payoff in it to where they see some benefit. You can't keep sending somebody out here on a daily basis working hard, putting their all in, and they don't get anything out of it. This is something that was promised, and this is something that we're going to make sure the governor and the state keep their word in doing what they were supposed to do. We waited long enough, and we're not waiting anymore. Thank you.
Someone from Ridge Civic? Who's coming forward? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for coming down, first of all. Vice President of the Ridge Civic Association, the residents of this area deserve to have safe roads. We deserve to have a road that we can travel on without being totally jostled. The first responders deserve to have safe passage on this road. They're transporting people in the back of that ambulance. It could be a relative of yours. They need to have safe passage through the area. This is something that has been promised over and over and has not been done. We need to be heard. The people of this area need to be heard and not forgotten. And we ask the governor, we ask everyone, please do this now. There are other roads that are being done that were not as bad as this one. And it is our time and it is our safety, and this needs to be done now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all the civics for working together on this project. Again, this is the main street that connects all of the hamlets in Longwood. There is not an alternative route. This is our main street. And as many people have said, the time to get it done is now. We were promised it would be done this year. The money is there. Who knows what will happen by next year? I don't have confidence that it will be there next year, and I bet most of you don't either. In closing, just remark that my son came out to watch my mother, who's 93. Okay, we're old enough to remember when Middle Country Road was called Jericho Turnpike. In certain places it still is, and you know that you grew up in the city or you had relatives in the city if you still call 25 Jericho Turnpike. My son, on the other hand, knows it as Middle Country Road. Growing up, his favorite book, storytime book at night, was The Very Bumpy Bus Ride, which we still joke about today. And he said to me, Mom, I can't believe that was fiction. Now we're living the reality of a very bumpy bus ride every single day. He drove over to our house. He said, I can't believe that you're still fighting this fight and it's not happening. I can't either, but I do believe in the power of all our voices being raised together and continuing to complain, to press the dot, to press New York, and to press everybody who will listen, including the construction company, to do the right thing. We deserve safety on our main street, and we're not going to rest until we get it. Thank you all very much for being here today, and keep the good fight going, ladies and gentlemen. And I wish you health and safety along the way. Thank you.